We're ready to get started. Okay, so welcome everybody to the CS panel here. We have a couple recent grads and some students in computer science in big tech, and we're basically here to help you all with your job search journey and also just learning a little bit about what it's like being a computer science student these past couple years. So yeah, here's our agenda for today. We're going to be doing some intros with our panelists, and then, of course, our discussion, and then we're going to have some time afterwards for a Q&A so you can ask our panelists some questions. Let's go ahead and get started. So yeah, everyone type in the chat where you are joining us from, and then in the meantime, we'll have some of our panelists introduce themselves. So yeah, for our panelists, feel free to introduce yourself, give your name, where you're based out of, and then where you work / where you did work or college that you're in, and then the last place you vacationed as a fun fact. Yeah, Ina, why don't you get us started?
Yeah, sure. So, hi guys, my name is Ina. I'm based in New York, specifically Queens, and currently I'm still a college student. I go to Hunter College in Manhattan for computer science. And the last place that I vacationed, I think it was like Paris, like
Oh,
2 years ago.
love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I miss it so much. But hopefully
Oh,
after
that's
I
so
graduate,
great.
I'll travel again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Oh, the post-grad vacation. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And then Emma and Santiago.
I'm Emma. I'm based out of New York City, but I'm originally from Texas, and I also went to school in Texas. And right now, I work as a software engineer at Atlassian. And the last place I vacationed was at the Dolomites in Italy back in May.
Okay, love. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I'm Santiago. I'm based out of Virginia, right next to the edge with DC, but I work for Microsoft, but I'm fully remote. So I work for a team that's based out of the Redmond office. And for college, I went to Binghamton, so like upstate New York. I also grew up there for the most part. And the last place I vacationed, I think, was Puerto Rico.
Love. Oh my gosh, I love Puerto Rico. Ah, what a great place. Okay, awesome. Well, yeah, we can get started. My name's Ellie. I'm a curriculum developer at Codédex. Our panelists here are three different, like recent graduates / students from the U.S. who are currently / have navigated the job market and landed jobs after graduation or throughout their time in college. And I'm excited today to lead a discussion about some of the very pressing topics right now. I think about being in school, the AI bubble, the job market, all of that. So yeah, so I first wanted to I think get started with I think some stats here. So CS graduates currently rank the 7th highest in unemployment among all college majors, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York data. So that is pretty high. So here are also some numbers. And then people going to also top colleges are just struggling to find jobs in general. So if you feel like you may be in this sort of place right now, don't worry, because it's literally everyone else too. Unemployment rate right now is 6.1%. For computer engineering, it's even higher. Yeah, 1 in 4 computer science graduates are unemployed. So it's really reflecting, I think, just like difficult times right now. And yeah, I'm excited to sort of kick off this discussion with some of our students and graduates here who have landed jobs and are interested in sort of showing you all kind of what their path was to get there. So I wanted to start off first with Ina. She is currently a computer science student, and first of all, like, huge congratulations on completing your past internship. You have been making also like day in the life TikToks, which are really cool. So yeah, you're back in school now after finishing up your data science internship at TD Bank. I'm curious to know when you first started applying to the internship or jobs in general, and when did you eventually land your internship offer? If you could kind of walk us through that.
Yeah. So for this past summer, I started applying for internships around October of 2024. Um, yeah, October of 2024, I applied to over like 200 in total before I could finally before I finally got the offer for TD Bank. But for TD Bank specifically, I applied in like around January, February, and from there I just got an offer. Um, the interview process was relatively straightforward, but the internship experience, I mean, applying to internships and so many and getting rejected definitely sucked. But I'm glad I interned at TD. I had a very good time.
Yeah, and it seems like, yeah, 200 applications. And also, like, it just kind of goes to show, like, you start pretty early on, I imagine. And TD Bank
Yeah.
being in February, like, I imagine you were applying this entire time. Yeah. And then, yeah, curious for Emma and Santiago, like, would you say you had similar experiences, or kind of how quickly was your, like, starting to apply to full-time roles um, to then eventually land your full-time job?
Yeah, so I don't know if I think I applied to a few new grad positions, but I'll talk about my internship because I converted from intern to full time. So for Atlassian specifically, I remember applying, I think like first week of October in 2022, and then I got the OA. After the OA, I had a 1 hour technical interview and then a 45-minute behavioral interview, and then I got the offer in November. So it was a very quick turnaround. Um, but back when I was a student, I was generally like starting to apply like September, October. There were some like internships I applied to in September that like filled up really quickly. I think like the major banks like Capital One and JP Morgan, they have a lot of applicants. So I generally tried to apply early, but yeah, so after I did my internship at Atlassian, I got a return offer and I took that.
Gotcha. Yeah. So starting off as an intern, you sort of saw that like success with, getting that return offer. Yeah, which is very interesting. Yeah. And then, yeah, Santiago, what about you?
Yeah, my story is one of a lot of luck. I on a whim applied to it, I think freshman year for for like the super undergrad Microsoft like early in career internship. Didn't get it my
Yeah.
freshman
Is
year.
it the Explorer one?
Yes,
The
the Explorer
Explorer?
one. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Microsoft. Yeah.
I believe I must have applied in like ballpark September of my freshman year. Didn't get it that year, but then the year after, so my first in sophomore year, I got the call back for Explorer, and then went through the interview process for sophomore summer. That the interview process was again because it was earlier in career. I imagine that it was a lot easier of a process, but it was two kind of mixed technical behavioral interviews, one after the other. Oh, and then there was a behavioral like phone call before those like more professional, more formal interviews. Um, my I was pretty lucky, but I know a lot of friends who weren't so lucky, and they definitely sent hundreds of applications. And I think the thing that was most helpful to a lot of them was to really start applying as early as possible. Like basically start getting it on your radar in like June. A lot of my I had a lot of friends that just started getting callbacks because they started applying so early. Or at least that's a running theory.
Yeah, no, I totally see that as well. And yeah, I think it's so interesting and like those programs having like your success being, I think being like to having your full-time job now when it's like so tough is, yeah, having that at the very beginning. And I definitely have seen that with a ton of other CS students. I think my friend was working from home and then she was doing an interview that June, like for her during her summer internship. So it's very like I definitely it looks like it's a very common pattern. And so this was now, would you say like this was 3 years ago, right? So like maybe like 2022, 2023?
Yeah, ballpark. I started working what year? last year in August. So
Yeah.
however many jumps back to sophomore year.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I'm curious for all of you, and anyone can start. What languages and frameworks do you use now at your job, if you're able to say? So, yeah, like curious about what are the sort of things that maybe I think like students should have on their like resume in terms of languages, or languages they should, or and frameworks they should start picking up now.
For me, so I'm primarily a front end engineer, but sometimes I dabble in the back end. Um, on the front end, we use pretty much like just JavaScript, TypeScript, React. And then on the back end, I've worked with Java, Spring, Kotlin here. But generally, I think like here at Atlassian, we're using most of the industry standard frameworks and whatever's the most up to date.
Yeah, for sure. And then also, Emma, I know that because so Atlassian has like a bunch of different companies. Are you like, what do you work on a specific product, or yeah, just like any company that they've acquired?
Yeah, so when I was an intern, I worked on Confluence, which is their like documentation tool, and that was made by Atlassian. And then when I joined back as a new grad, I went through team matching and I joined a team for our new product, which launched last year, and it's called Rovo. Um, this is the logo, but
Nice.
it's like our new, I guess, AI product. So that we have like a bunch of different features under it. We have like a Rovo search, Rovo chat, Rovo agents. But it's a very exciting space. So it's always fun to work on a new product.
Yeah. And so, Santiago, are you also doing front end, or are you doing more like back end or general?
Yeah, so I would say that I'm a somewhere middle of the road service layer for internally. So I work on Copilot, and Copilots need to be able to go from one Copilot to another and kind of move that. So, for example, you're in Word and you ask Copilot to generate a table. How do you open that table in Excel? Through like my team's service layer. Um, Having said that, I guess broadly I work under the Office product group, and basically the entire tech stack is TypeScript with React in particular, and a lot of C++. C++ for like the native apps, and then if you're working on any of the online apps, it's typically almost in its entirety TypeScript.
Gotcha. Yeah. Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, we just Codédex just released the Copilot course, so that's very exciting. Um, did you get to, I guess like even in your internships, what was the flexibility with Microsoft letting you choose? Like how picky did you, because Microsoft is very like overarching. How picky did you get to be with like actually choosing something? Like was this somewhere where you eventually wanted to be? Did you want to work on an AI product? Where did you um like did you get to decide what you wanted to work on essentially?
Yeah, so my first internship, I worked on something not so interesting, so I knew I wanted to move to something else after that. But the way internally that a lot of this stuff happens is that you're under like an umbrella. I was under the Office product group. It's unlikely that I will ever be able to transition outside of that without a very
Wow.
formal interview process. So
I
like kind
see.
of internal transfers are limited up to that kind of company hierarchy level. Having said that, they're usually pretty open with letting people move around, but there has been a huge emphasis on AI. So a lot of their newer positions, a lot of the roles that they were trying to fill were very AI centric, just anywhere in the AI field, I guess.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. And I think having it be like a big company like Microsoft, that would make sense. Wow. Yeah. That's so interesting. Okay. And then, so for Ina, you had a data science internship. So this is a little bit different. I'm curious, were you originally applying to data science internships? Was this just sort of, did you have that experience which just made you want to apply? I'm curious also what that looked like.
Yeah. It's actually kind of funny. So my first 2 years, I'm a senior right now, and my first 2 years of college, I really wanted to go towards software engineering. So I picked up like a couple of software engineering internships throughout my first 3 years of college. Um, while I was applying for summer 2025, uh, from October till February, I was applying to software engineering internships because that was what I was mainly interested in. But it was also just because I didn't know that there were other fields within tech that I could go to, since software engineering is very popular. Like when you start off as a CS major, the only thing you really know is software engineering. So that's kind of why I was applying to a bunch of software engineering roles. It was only until I got reached out to by like a recruiter from TD Bank, and it was for a data science internship opportunity. And I read it
Yeah.
and I was just thinking like, well, I don't really want to do data science. I don't really know anything about data science, like anything super hard about data science. So in that aspect, like I didn't know whether or not I was qualified. I mean, I definitely did not think I was qualified because I was more focused on software engineering. So that internship with TD Bank was actually the only application that I applied to that was related to data science, and that was the
Oh,
one that I ended up accepting.
yeah.
It was actually also the only one that I ended up getting an offer for. So not even the software engineering internships that I applied to, I didn't
Yeah.
hear
Which
back.
you already had
Yeah.
experience for. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's so, yeah. It's like, that's how these sort of things work. And so, um, okay, so you were in school for a few years, you're going into your last year. Would you say the stuff that you learned in school, like the languages that you learned in school are the ones that you used for this internship?
I definitely picked up new libraries and frameworks, but in terms of like the coding language that we used, um, I used Python in like for the data science internship, and for my first year of college, um, they taught us our coding class for like with Python, and
Yeah.
then for the object oriented programming and data structures and algorithms classes, they taught it in C++. So coming from first year learning about Python, that was my first ever exposure to Python in my freshman year of college, and then going into a data science internship, uh, where I barely used Python like
Yeah.
in my sophomore and junior year. It was definitely like a big refresher. I had to brush up on my Python and also the different libraries like Pandas, Matplotlib, NumPy,
Yeah.
Scikitlearn, those type of stuff. But yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And those are also, this is shameless plug. These are also all courses that are coming to Codédex, or either are on Codédex as well, for anyone watching. Okay. Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah. So it's like you sort of had to, you learned this language before, now you're picking it up again. Um, would you say now, are you sort of leading in that direction now for your full-time job to be in data science? Or are you going to kind of explore different opportunities here now that you have this other, I guess, like portion of experience?
Yeah. Like I said before, I one of the main reasons why I chose software engineering for my first 3 years of college was that like I thought that it was the only path. Being able to like intern as a data scientist at TD Bank definitely helped me realize that there were so many more opportunities within the tech industry that I want to explore. Like for example, do I want to code all day, or do I want to like work with a bunch of different teams? Do I want something more client facing? So it definitely like I wouldn't 100% say that I want to be a data scientist after graduation, like 100%, but
Yeah.
I am open to exploring more stuff related to data and not just software engineering.
Yeah. Yeah, no. And I think that's also like a really great takeaway from that is, yeah, there's definitely so many other roles, especially that are opening up that are like even AI related, right? It's like all of these things. So yeah. Okay. And now on to my next question. Um, Emma and Santiago, you both started school in 2020. So it's like right during COVID. And Ina, you started in 2022. So for both Emma and Santiago, I feel like I started school 2021. So I think there's this like, I feel like you both sort of in real time saw this transition of like, you started off with like, AI was sort of either small or like non-existent to like ChatGPT being everywhere. I saw this, it's like I went to a hackathon and it's like all of a sudden I'm seeing people create like, AI projects. Like it's like become a category now at hackathons. And I did hackathons for a long time, which is why I sort of like I was noticing this as it was happening. Um, how did you both notice this shift? And I'm wondering if there was anything notable about how it changed, honestly, your last couple years of school, because it had just become this big thing. And now both of you are involved in AI products now at your jobs. So I'm curious to know, what was that shift like? How comfortable are you both with sort of pursuing and like being involved in like sort of the AI bubble right now? And yeah, either of you could go.
Sure. I can go. Oh, sorry.
No, go for it.
I can go first this time around. Yeah. So the last couple of years, in particular, this my senior year, it really felt like junior year, not much, but like senior year, everyone used AI for just about everything. Um, my take is, I don't know, pretty generic, but it's like it's a great tool to learn, but it can be abused and helps you skip a lot of steps if you're not careful. So like being cognizant of like there is a middle ground. Especially like at work, the way that they describe it, it's like it's fine to have blockers, but like don't let them block you for too long. That's almost when like in school I would use the similar philosophy for like AI. Like it shouldn't be the first option, but if you're getting nowhere, it's a great option eventually. Having said that, at my job, it's like really pushed onto us. It's like really use AI, use it for as much as anything, for as much as you can for everything. Really try to just experiment with new ways, even if it makes you a little slower. Just like come back to us with general like feedback. It's working, not working. Other models are better, right? Especially, I guess a big part of it is that we have our own internal like Copilot that we're trying to like Microsoft owns. So a big part of it is like almost competitor analysis of give it some
Yeah.
problems, like test a bunch of different Copilots in a way and see which one's best. And I guess the other interesting thing, and I wonder if it'll impact interviews eventually, it's that a really common sentiment is that before, as an entry level engineer, you would write PRs, right? Write a bunch of code, put in a pull request, and then like someone higher
Yeah.
up would look at your pull request and do something. But every interaction with AI, it's almost like a mini pull request. So it shifts a lot of roles to becoming a lot more like systems design focused, of like you just send out Copilot to do a bunch of stuff, and you kind of really need to get good at looking over what it did more than writing it yourself in some
Yeah.
cases.
And that's so interesting because then people are sort of getting the idea that you don't need to learn how to code. You just sort of but I feel like, right, it's like you know how to code. You are making sure that it did it right. Which is yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Um Emma, what about you?
Yeah, so I actually started college in 2021, but
Okay.
I really don't have any recollection of like ChatGPT before my junior senior year. I was there for 3 years, so like my last year. But I think like my last year in college was when it really started to pick up, and like I started to use it for classes or just like brainstorming things. I feel like yeah, it's definitely probably really different now. Um, but at work, it's kind of the same here. They're really pushing AI onto us to increase like developer productivity, and that's also probably the reason why we just acquired another startup that basically the whole purpose of it is to measure dev productivity with AI and things like that. So they give us like all the resources we need. At first, we got access to Copilot for free, and then they introduced Cursor to us, which Cursor is just insane. Um,
Okay,
like
I just heard another company, they like were pushing cursor onto their like devs, and then now they just got rid of it because apparently it's actually using like company data. So
oh
they were pushing it so hard, but then now they just completely banned it. Which, and for anyone listening, cursor is like an AI like IDE, so like a VS Code but like a AI.
yeah.
So yeah.
So since when I got Copilot, I like used it for like very small things like unit tests. But then when I got Cursor, it was like fully integrated. Like it knew like the context of every file, every directory, or whatever. Which to me, as like a early career dev, I try not to rely on it too much, just because I feel like I'm still trying to develop my critical thinking skills and like debugging myself. So like I generally try not to use it for solutions, but maybe sometimes if I'm weighing between multiple different implementation options, I might use it to spar on. But in general, there's a huge push for AI use in our company. We're making like our own AI code environment thing right now as well. So yeah, I feel like the sentiment here is like you should just use AI because everyone else is going to, and if you don't, you're just going to fall behind.
Yeah, yeah, especially like yeah, integrating it with your job, and it seems like it, yeah, because everyone's like pushing it so hard. Yeah, I also have a friend like at a bank, it's like they compare every like at the end of the week, they have like a roundup of like what's your AI usage, like percentage, and then they'll just like it's like, oh, like so and they literally call people out specifically. It's like so and so like you have to like like use it more, like they'll congratulate people who like use it more. It's like very I've definitely also have seen just like so much of it being pushed. Yeah, and so then for Ina, you started school, I feel like around the time like AI was sort of being picked up, and maybe even like or maybe even not your first year, second year, but like I'm curious like how when you like started it, did that sort of become the norm now? Is it the norm now in school? And how has it kind of been taking over like even curriculum? It's like I know I went to UIUC and like so many classes then started becoming like how to like use AI, or like they started pushing it so much more to even non-computer science students. So yeah, I'm curious like how is it for you being in school now with AI being used for a lot of things?
Yeah, it's definitely very common now. At least in my school. I think I think everybody uses Copilot at least now. For me, I use Copilot every time I have to do a project, every time I have to do homework for like a computer science class. But kind of like sorry, kind of like Emma, in my freshman year, I knew about AI, like I knew about ChatGPT, but I really didn't want to use it. Not just for coding, but like for anything in general. Just because I just didn't want to work. I didn't want to use it. And then sophomore year, it really started ramping up. Everybody around me started using it more. Um, I also found out about Copilot, and then around that time, I was always doing hackathons too. And so, like in 48-hour hackathons, obviously you're going to want to do something that's more efficient. And so that's when I started using Copilot. And then, like, I I feel like AI has really, at least like, actually no, I feel like AI in general has really hurt my learning in college, especially for computer science, because
Mhm.
like like Emma and Santiago were saying, like everything is about AI now. You're just reading and reviewing code that AI generated. And for me, I feel like that's as a student um, who hasn't really started her career yet, it's really hard to learn from that if all you're doing is just like reading the code and you're not like writing it yourself. At my internship with TD Bank, they also pushed like AI and the use of Copilot to me. And that was really weird for me because that's never happened before. Like I've never had to deal with that in my past internships. Like, yeah, until that point. And it's just really weird because they advocated so much for AI. And it was even weirder because I was still trying to learn the libraries and frameworks and Python as a language, but I was also trying to be as fast as I can because they advocated for AI. But
Yeah. And like I find it's like what you said a little earlier, that it's like changed the way you're also like, like learning, not just even in your internship, but like in school, like as still being a student, it's like you're like the temptation to use it is there. Like it's like everyone's using it. How do you go about still learning these tools? And like, because obviously it's like you can't fix AI, the code that AI spits out, without knowing the code. So it's like, how would you maybe like, what's your advice on like how you would go about still like learning new things, but like integrating it with AI? Or it's like, yeah, just like maybe like how you still learn that, how you're learning new things still. And I know that's a very complicated question because I think it varies for everyone.
Yeah. I'd say the number one thing that pops up in my head is kind of, at least from a student perspective, um, I would I would recommend trying not to use it so often for your computer science classes. What's really fundamental as like a college student, especially as a CS major, is like properly understanding object-oriented programming, different data structures and algorithms. And I feel like that's the backbone of everything related to computer science. And if you don't have that like grasp on those two topics, then it'll be really hard for you to actually understand what code AI, Copilot is generating, or what code AI, any LLM is generating.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like that's my number one thing. But like currently for me, I would say reading documentation for any frameworks that you're going to be using or any libraries that you're going to be using. Reading documentation will definitely help you understand like how to actually use stuff. Like even if you AI generated your code, you can go back to the documentation for whatever it was written with and see how things add up together and kind of piece it by yourself. But I wouldn't really recommend using AI first. But that's probably going to change soon since AI is so prevalent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I think also leading that into, I think now with like, the job seeking things, I'm curious, does anybody in the panel right now, do any of you happen to have your resume that you applied for your job for to share? If not, it's okay.
I think I have mine.
If anyone wants to pull that up, I feel like that would be so, I think, could be helpful to, I think, some of our viewers watching.
Yeah, I'm looking for mine, but no guarantees that I find it.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I should totally try to keep it more updated than I do.
Oh, well, yeah. It's okay.
I think I have it.
Okay.
Not the one that I applied with, but it's the one that I made my senior year when I tried applying to some other roles.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, wait, let's see it.
Cool. I have like 1,000 tabs open. I'm terrible about it, but
no, you're good. Okay.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what you wanted to go over, but happy to share whatever.
For sure. Yeah. So it seems like, this is all very did you order your languages based off of like how experienced you are in each of them? These
Oh my god,
no order.
I got 2 of them. Got 2 TypeScripts in there. No, I probably just randomly picked them. There might have been some thought to the ones that I thought were most important for recruiters to look at. Less about how good I was at them, and more so, I thought TypeScript and C++ would be better for recruiters to look at.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, cool. And then these are all your past experiences.
Yeah. So, and a
Very
couple
cool.
of mostly school projects. But
yeah, this is so interesting. So like your project section is like it's pretty big. I feel like a lot of resumes that I see, the project section is actually like maybe like a fourth of the page. So yeah, these are all from a couple years ago. Yeah.
yeah, so at least my personal thought when making the resume was one, needs to be like scannable, especially now that AI is probably getting shoved into every part of the recruiting process. You just need something that like has all the buzzwords, probably. And with respect to projects, I knew that I didn't have that much other experience, like leadership experience. Wasn't a huge part of a bunch of different clubs or anything. So I tried to compensate a little bit with some projects and took a couple of harder classes that gave me some cool projects to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks so much for sharing. Cool. And then Ina, did you happen to find yours? If not, that's okay.
Yeah, I found mine from
Okay.
when I like applied, right,
To
for this
the
past
data science
internship.
internship. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this was like the last time I updated this was December 2024. So right before I applied.
Yeah.
I just
Okay.
had a lot of projects and stuff.
Mhm.
So I was compensating for my lack of internships.
Yeah, your project section is also pretty big as well.
Yeah. Most of them are from hackathons, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. No, hackathons are so good. Yeah, very great. Okay, and then so your skills are at the bottom, and your leadership experience is one section. So yeah, this is for everybody listening or in the chat. I think the order of things I think really can be like very diverse on different resumes. But this one is still Ina's was able to get her data science internship, which is really great.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's kind of crazy looking back at this and seeing how much my resume has changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
No, that's
makes
awesome.
me happy.
Yeah, no, of course. Okay, let me go back. Yeah, so well, I have oopsies. I have the last question for you all. What is one thing that you wish you knew when you were either in your application process or recruitment process that you would like to share for our audience? For everybody.
I can go first. At least for me, I really think that applying early, as much as it sucks and it feels like it's impeding in your like handful of summer vacation free time months, I think applying early, at least anecdotally, with a lot of friends that I've had, makes a huge difference. That would be like the biggest thing for me. Just really try to get there as early as possible. Like start looking at things in like June, have your resume ready to go, and I don't know, do some leak code, some behavioral stuff. A lot of people sometimes focus on leak code and then have really, really bad responses to behavioral questions if they get to that point. And that at a certain point, they're looking for people as an entry level. You're probably not going to be very good at much of anything. You'll be all right, maybe, but they're looking for people that meet the bar and are like real people, like people you can talk to, have a conversation with.
Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, no, definitely I think starting early is for sure a great piece of advice. Yeah, Ina or Emma?
I think for me, something I wish I would have done more in college was probably side projects. I mean, I did like a few here and there that were like very basic, but I think like side projects are really helpful for kind of getting your hands dirty with some of the frameworks and tools that you might be using at your actual job. And then also just like they're a really good signal on your resume for recruiters, especially with how saturated CS is now. I think like side projects are a huge boost. I did like this virtual resume review event a few weeks ago for my company, and a lot of the student resumes I looked at, like there was no extracurriculars, no side projects, and I think like they just did not really stand out that much. So definitely like if you think of an idea or passion project, try it out or do hackathons. Like hackathons are actually a really good way to kind of get into the pipeline for internships. At my school, we had a lot of companies that like if you did really well in their like prize categories or awards, they would actually fast track you to an interview. So I know a lot of people who got internships from hackathons. So yeah, just really get familiar with a lot of the real world technologies, and getting started on that early is really good.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of want to say the same thing. Even though I'm still in college, one thing that I really regretted was not being, I guess, more active and more passionate about computer science in my freshman and sophomore year. Um, so I would definitely emphasize like starting early or kind of actually just genuinely trying to pay attention in class. Like try your hardest to not go on your phone throughout the whole class, especially if it's a computer science class for your major. Like I did not realize how when I was learning about time complexity, I didn't realize at the time how important that actually is. And then when I got into like working on something or doing an interview or working on leak code, that like a year later, it was when I finally realized that like I should have paid attention before, because now I just have to relearn everything that I should have learned, I should have paid attention to and understood back then. So yeah, kind of like I feel like this is a lesson that people won't realize or people won't learn until they get to that point or they get to their last year of college and then they're like, damn, like I wish I did more. But I guess like heed all of our warnings and really try your best to focus and like pay attention in your classes, especially if they're for computer science and you're trying to pursue a career in computer science. Um, yeah, that's really it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I 100%. And I think that that's a great lesson to end off on. So thank you all so much for being here today and giving us a lot of your insights. It's really cool to see, I think, like, um, you know, some like beacons of light, if you will, for like, I think a lot of people who are still like struggling to feel like, you know, so many people are getting just discouraged nowadays because it is just so hard to break into now because of how difficult it is to get a job. So yeah, I thank you all so much to all of you here who are, helping everyone in the audience um, potentially land something with all your advice. Um, so I'll move on to, so if you're a student now, we have our sort of like back to school season going on here at Codédex. We have our, on our Instagram, we're going to be having highlights from this, from our panel. And then we're also going to have a bunch more back to school related things. We also have a current personal portfolio project monthly challenge. So you'll spice up your portfolio, and then also we're giving away prizes for doing just that. So definitely doesn't hurt to enter. And then we have back to school merch that we will also be giving out. So that'll be fun. So yeah, just as a note for everybody watching. And now, yeah, I'm curious. So for all of you in the chat, if there are any questions for our panelists, I think that I've seen some here. Eric, if you have any that you would like to, I think, just like reply to and highlight for me that may have gotten lost. But yeah, and also thank you to the panelists also answering in the chat. I did see that as well. Yeah, are there any questions that we have for the panelists? Yeah, feel free to ask again if your question wasn't answered before. Let me also. Yeah, okay, we have several people typing. Okay. Yeah, we have a question. How would one shift from web dev to data science/ML? Are there any specific resources? I feel like maybe, you can maybe give some advice about like some resources, or even like what it was that you did to go from like learning more data science stuff.
Yeah. So during my data science internship this past summer, I also started a fellowship with Breakthrough Tech in their AI and machine learning program. It's still ongoing, and right now I'm doing in like AI studio where I work on a project within like the company that Breakthrough Tech is partnered with. Their Breakthrough Tech is partnered with a bunch of different companies, and the company that I'm partnered with is Accenture. And so I'm working on a machine learning project for them where I make a model for oil and gas pump failures, which is pretty interesting, where I work on a team. So not only am I learning, improving my skills in machine learning, but I'm also learning how to work in a team and convey that in my resume and like have that as an experience that I can talk about during interviews and stuff. So for me, shifting from web dev to data science, it was kind of spontaneous and sudden, but thankfully I got into that Breakthrough Tech AI and machine learning program that started in the summer, and it's a year long. So I'm still doing that now, where they teach you the machine learning foundations during the summer. And then after that, you work with said company that they're partnered with for the rest of the program. So for me, that was the best resource so far.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, so like a different program alongside like school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, very cool. And then we have another question. Yeah, this is for like also anybody from the panel. Like if there's like something could apply, feel free to answer. What are your opinions on electronics engineering and on an electronics engineering degree to work in software? So I know did you all do maybe like something like computer engineering related or electronics, or maybe any of your coworkers that are just coding?
Yeah, so I was gonna say I have I have a couple of friends from college who ended up, or one of them had an EE degree or a COE degree, so computer engineering. And if I'm not wrong, he did end up finding a software job. I feel like there's a lot of positions that are like lower level or more embedded systems, which are like somewhere between like computer engineering and like what you typically think of software engineering, or with like TypeScript front endy stuff. And I think those get a lot less visibility. So especially if you have like a electrical engineering degree, it might be easier to target those, if anything, but like a stepping stone to then keep going in that direction. I think in particular, a lot of like defense contractors, if not too morally against or whatever, have a lot of interesting opportunities for roles.
Yeah, for sure. Totally. Yeah. There's so many, I think, roles that go, unnoticed at times. Yeah, we have another question. Any advice for students who graduated who haven't participated in hackathons or competitions? And yeah, I'm assuming for like jobs or like to put on your resume.
I think I've heard a lot of good things about contributing to open source projects. I haven't done it myself, but that's a good way to get involved in a project that actually is making some sort of impact and could be something good to look at. Other than that, projects, networking, the usual, I feel like.
Yeah. For sure, yeah. I've heard a ton about open source. And also, yeah, Emma, you mentioned the like doing more projects. And I mean, like from the resumes we saw, like projects are a big, it's like these are big sections on the resumes, like especially as a either new grad or like current student. So for sure. Um, yeah, are hackathons 5 hours away worth going to, or good to go to the ones within your state? If anyone has thoughts.
Any hackathon is definitely worth going to, especially if it's from like an Ivy League or a big college that most people know about. I feel like the experience, not only the experience of being in a different state or being in a different area, a different campus, where you're learning about different things, you're exploring the campus, but you're also just like in a completely new environment where you're just forced to code for a certain amount of time. I really enjoyed going to hackathons far away. I wish I went further away for a hackathon, but I didn't. Yeah, I think you should still go, even if it's 5 hours away.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I plus one to that as well. I also, yeah, I went to also a ton when I was in college as well. They are so fun. And I think, yeah, even the ones like online, which segue into my next question. Um, do you know any hackathons online for someone who doesn't have access to many in person? And I think I
So,
can also, oh, sorry, go ahead.
um, there's a company called MLH, stands for Major League Hacking. They have a bunch of hackathons listed on their website. You're going to put it in the chat. So this is basically all their upcoming events, like all their upcoming hackathons, and you could see which ones you'll be able to go to. These are hackathons that are affiliated with Major League Hacking. So yeah, I would definitely use this as a resource because I see the first one is online. There are probably a couple other ones that are also online. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Also, my number one resource as well. I used to work for them. So I would also go around to all the hackathons. Very, very great resource. Um, and then, okay, we have um, another question. This is for Ina. What kind of questions did you get in the interview, and what was your role during your internship?
Okay. So it was actually the reason like I got my internship from one interview. It was only one round. It was only one interview, and then they accepted me. So I applied, and then before the interview, they told me that it was going to be a behavioral interview, and so that's why I expected there to be multiple rounds. And then during the interview, they asked me behavioral questions. They asked me like, "Tell me about yourself," the generic ones, and then they also asked me like technical questions, more just about foundational knowledge on Python and different libraries. Um, and during the internship, it was a data science position. And what I specifically worked on was creating a module for data scientists internally within my team. I worked on like the enterprise protect platform. So essentially like fraud detection. Since it's a bank, there's a lot of people that there are a lot of bad actors in the bank. And I made with one other intern an automated exploratory data analysis report based on any data set that a data scientist at TD Bank would use just to kind of smooth the process. The data analysis process for data scientists so that they didn't have to manually do the EDA, which is a lot of time, really time consuming. So yeah, that's what I did during the internship.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Um, okay. Yeah. All right. So, I think we're hitting time. Yeah. Thank you so much to, the panelists. Yeah, this was honestly so great. Incredibly insightful. I think you all three really, talked about a lot of the things that we're all just super curious about. So thank you all so much. And thank you all to everyone in the audience for tuning in. We're so excited. If you liked more of these things, please let us know. We're happy to host more in the future. And if you're a student or you just graduated, we're here to also support with your coding learning journey. So yeah, thank you all so much. And thank you so much to Emma, Santiago, Ina. You guys were awesome. We'll send you merch.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.